Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap. I hope all of you guys had a wonderful day. My day was all right. We got a lot of news to cover today for the most part. We have two segments and four topics for each segment. We have a Trump administration segment and another news segment as always. Hope all you guys are having a wonderful day. Not too much for me to talk about, Just kind of went to school, set up for my school's art show. That was pretty much the most eventful thing that happened today. My apologies for no episode yesterday. Had a lot of things going on in my personal life. I'm graduating high school soon, preparing to make that next step, and sometimes just things don't always work out the way you want to. But, with that being said, let's get started as we got a lot to cover. As mentioned for the Trump administration segment, we have four topics today. The military has lost a second fighter jet in 9 days. Millions of Americans are on the verge of losing health care coverage. The House has passed a bill to rename the Gulf of Mexico, and Trump has nominated Fox News host Judge Jeanine Pirro to be attorney for D.C. The military has lost a second fighter jet in 9 days. For the second time in 9 days, a U.S. fighter jet has been lost in the Red Sea after falling from the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier. My apologies. An FA-18F Super Hornet was attempting to land on the flight deck when the maneuver failed, which caused the aircraft to go overboard. The crew members inside self-ejected and sustained minor injuries. The jet, worth tens of millions of dollars, will be left in the Red Sea like the previous one. The fact that something can be worth so much, yet is left at the bottom of the sea, is crazy to me. I know I mentioned this last time, but it's just a waste of taxpayer dollars. I mean, that money could be going to other programs like solving homelessness, like solving hunger, like doing so many things. Yet it's a jet sitting at the bottom of the ocean, rotting. What is the point of having such an expensive jet if it can't be recovered from a situation like that? You'd think if something is going to cost so much, you could be able to recover it from a situation. But that seems to not be the case. And I'm not very knowledgeable on military technology. I've said that on a few occasions, and it is true. I do not know quite a bit, but I mean, in my personal opinion, I think it is a waste of taxpayer dollars to just let a jet sit at the bottom of the ocean. Moving on, millions of Americans are unfortunately on the verge of losing health care coverage. Millions of people could lose health insurance coverage under the Republican options to cut Medicaid spending. One option includes a cap on Medicaid spending that would save $225 billion and result in 1.5 million people being uninsured by 2030. Limiting state provider taxes would also save $668 billion, but would mean an additional 3.9 million people are uninsured by 2030. Republicans have tasked the House Energy and Commerce Committee, which oversees Medicaid, to find $880 billion in savings as part of an overall goal of slashing $1.5 trillion in spending, according to the CBO. That number is impossible over the next decade without cutting Medicaid. The healthcare system in this country needs to be fixed. People paid so much for healthcare, just for them to be robbed blind by insurance companies. Healthcare should be a human right, and anyone should be able to access it for free and get the help they need rather than breaking the bank for necessities. We are supposedly supposed to have a greater program than all of these other countries with free healthcare, yet I feel like we take about the same amount of time to get the services to our people. I have been waiting for a surgery for over a year now. I'm trying to get it before I go to college, but we don't know about that one. And because of this insurance company not approving my shit and all of that, I have had to wait so long for a surgery that realistically could have been done in way sooner and probably for not that much. The fact that healthcare costs so much and people can lose so much money, yet other countries not only have it for free, but are able to manage it extremely well, is a problem. And the fact that we have this many issues with Medicaid and it is so poorly managed is an extreme problem. The fact of the matter is, both of these services are poorly managed, by not only the US government, but the companies that work with the US government on them. And because of it, it is not only at the fault. Wait, is that the right word? No. It is not only at the impact of the American people, it is not only at the negative impact of the American people, but it is at the fault of our own government for allowing billionaires to dictate who gets healthcare coverage. Moving on. The White House has passed, not the White House, the House has passed a bill to rename the Gulf of Mexico. The House has passed a Republican-led bill renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. This bill was approved in a 211 to 206 vote and will now move to the Senate for consideration. Voted one Republican, Representative Don Bacon of Nebraska, voted with Democrats, saying he wouldn't support the bill because it seemed juvenile. Sponsored by Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, the bill requires federal agencies to update all maps and documents to name the Gulf of America to the name Gulf of America. Trump is now also making plans to rename the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Arabia or the Arabian Gulf, and is expected to announce it next week on his trip to the Middle East, according to CNN. I forgot to write a response. My bad, guys. Sorry. This is off the dome. Why? The Gulf of Mexico is one of the stupidest ideas from this Trump administration. It is purely a decision to distract us and to get people to talk about other things and ignore the things that are actually happening. Unfortunately, it is important news, and it still needs to be talked about because geography and because Trump. At the end of the day, it's immature, it's stupid, and there's no reason for it. Yes, the Gulf is surrounded by the continents of America, but this is not a claim of, the. I don't want to say this. But because of the Trump administration, it is not in the best right, if that makes sense. It is purely done out of not only a way to distract people, as I mentioned, but a way to aggravate people and a way to dehumanize, if you will, for lack of a better term, Mexico. It is purely, just in my opinion at least, a thing done out of racism towards Mexico and Mexican people, and stupid, to say the least. I mean, it has been called the Gulf of Mexico forever. There's been no reason to change it. It is just because Trump is too full of himself, and it is a way to assert nationalism and boost nationalism. This one's already going to be a long one, I can tell, and I'm sweating bricks already. Moving on, Trump has nominated Fox News host Judge Jeanine Pirro to be attorney for D.C. Trump has announced plans to appoint Fox News host Jeanine Pirro as interim U.S. attorney for Washington, D.C., adding her incredible. Adding her. I don't know. Saying. I'm losing it, if you can't tell. It is hot. I do not do well in the heat. Every video where it is, like, you can see me sweating, it is the worst one. And it's just, I can't do it. I'm not a heat individual. So he says it's because for her incredibly well qualified for the position, and she is in a class by herself, apparently. Trump made the announcement on his Truth Social, mentioning Piero's prior roles as prosecutor and judge, and mentioning she was currently the co-host of The Five, one of the highest-rated television shows. My question is, why does everyone have to be a TV host? Why can't we just have someone normal who isn't famous? I know that's hypocritical coming out of me, but seriously, it's not working out for the Trump administration. I mean, look at Pete Hegseth. He was on Fox News, and he has done a god-awful job at his job. He has put national security at risk. He has done so many things that have not only could have put American soldiers at risk, but have done so many shitty things for American foreign policy, for Americans, and overall has just done a shitty job. Trump media personalities are not the way to go. They are just yes men. And it has been very clear by this administration that having a bunch of people who are yes men doesn't get shit done that benefit the American people. And in fact, only does things that negatively impact the American people. It is so hot. I don't even know. We're going to figure that out. I'm also like stressed, but it's not even that hot. It's only 85. It's going to be 94 tomorrow. That's even worse. Whew. My bad, guys. I know I'm like super frazzled today. I'm going to be real. This is my like third take of this. I was interrupted by sirens, and then I was interrupted by a phone call, so what can you do? Anyways, let's move on to the other news segments. For the other news segment today, we have 4 topics to cover. A real ID is now required for air travel in the United States. A new pope has been elected today. There was a raid on a gay bar in Pittsburgh, and Republicans want to prosecute Aaron Parnas. Real ID is now required for air travel in state. Starting Wednesday, U.S. travelers must use state-issued ID or license that is Real ID compliant within the U.S. Real IDs have a star in their upper right-hand corner, and no matter what state you live in. Of course, you can still get a Real ID, and passengers without one will not be turned away, according to Steve Lawrence, TSA Deputy Executive Assistant Administrator for Security Options. He said, "We will process you." You're going on to say, "It might take some additional time, but we are going to do it efficiently. We are fully staffed at all locations across the country." Some states already make their license Real ID, whereas others don't, so make sure you do your research before flying to see if you need one or not. This is like blinding behind you guys. My apologies. It's just because the building's white. So for one, I can tell you if you live in California, I know that's like my largest graph or viewer base on this app, or on Substack at least. If you live in California, your ID is already a Real ID, if you didn't know that already. They just issue it with the normal ID. So I believe other states do it as well, but I don't know myself what states are. I do know personally, because I live in California, that my ID is a Real ID, and all California driver's license are Real ID. So for those of you who are in California, you don't have to worry about this one. But this law has been in the works for a while. It has just gotten pushed back again and again, and now it is here. It is not the worst thing in the world. It will definitely help to make air travel safer, but it is definitely an inconvenience for people. I'm sure it'll be an annoyance for the first few months, especially if you are a frequent flyer. But nobody wants to go to the DMV at the end of the day. And of course, you don't need to do it. You just have to wait a little longer with TSA. Moving on, a new pope has been elected today. A new pope has been elected. He is the first American pope, and he is from Chicago, formerly known as Robert Prevost. He is the 267th pontiff to lead the Catholic Church. Prevost is a 69-year-old member of the Augustine religious order and spent his career ministering in Peru, and has taken up the name Leo XIV. Leo's first words as Pope were "Peace be with you," and he emphasized a message of a disarmed and disarming peace. Many say Pope Francis had his eye on Pope Leo and in many ways saw him as an heir. Many Americans have celebrated this not only because he is the first American pope, but he is also not like J.D. Vance or Trump shown in his tweets and retweets. Before becoming the pope, his last retweet was a message from Rovo Palmo, a Catholic commentator from Philadelphia, who slammed Trump's partnership with El Salvador's president for their deportations and retention of illegal immigrants. In a personal tweet, he would share an article from the National Catholic Reporter titled "J.D. Vance is Wrong. Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others," in response to Vance's bastardization of the concept Ordo Amoris. Congratulations to Pope Leo on the position. I think he's going to do a good job and maybe even sway many MAGA Catholics. There's definitely a reason they selected American Pope at this time, especially if he hates Trump. This will definitely be an interesting selection, and I am excited to see how it plays out not only in global politics, but U.S. politics for that matter. Moving on, we have some serious news as there has been a raid on a gay bar called P-Town. Law enforcement raided a Pittsburgh gay bar, P-Town, during a drag show featuring trans icon Amanda Lee Poor. On Friday, May 2nd, P-Town was hosting its recurring drag event, Another Party Pittsburgh. The show was hosted by local drag queen Indica and famed nightlife icon Leo Pear, in attendance as a featured guest. Around 11:30 p.m., 20 law enforcement officers in bulletproof vests entered the venue as Blade Matthew, a drag performer, started a rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody. After the performance, officers ordered the performers and partisans to exit the establishment and wait outside. Indica told the news outlet Q-Berg that they remained outside in the rain for 30 minutes, and they were offered no explanation from officers other than they were conducting a compliance check. In a statement addressing the event on May 5th, Pittsburgh Mayor Ed Gainey said the raid was driven by a report to the city's Bureau of Fire specifically asking for a check into overcrowding. He did not specify who requested this check, but said P-Town had an occupancy limit of 70. According to the bar, they did renovations during the COVID shutdown to expand it, and they're still waiting on an update permit from the city. P-Town's statement noted that nobody was mistreated, but it has caused uproar, as in the past, gay bar raids were done to arrest and assault queer and trans patrons. There's a lot that could be said here, and there's a lot that could be taken away from it. Was this very unnecessary? Yes, absolutely. There was no point in going to, do an occupancy check with 20 officers, which is why I do think there was some homophobic intentions from this. But from what I know, for the most part, Pittsburgh is a LGBTQ plus friendly place. I've never been there, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but I've really only heard positive things coming out of Pittsburgh for the LGBTQ community. As a member of the LGBTQ plus community, I wouldn't say I'm very angered by this. I am to some degree, but I would honestly say I'm more glad that nobody was hurt or arrested in a situation like this. Moving on to our final segment for today, Republicans want to prosecute Aaron Parnas. Last night, MAGA Republicans on Twitter decided to target Aaron Parnas, the popular news influencer on TikTok and Substack. Led by Libs of TikTok, a right-wing account with more than 4.3 million followers, there has been a campaign launched calling for Parnas' arrest, calling for Attorney General Pam Bondi to prosecute him for sharing information on an upcoming ICE raid in Washington, D.C. The story was originally leaked by reporter Pablo Manriquez and was not leaked by Parnas. He said in his post on the matter, "I didn't leak anything. I didn't publish any classified information. I amplified a local news story because that's what journalists do. We share facts. We inform the public." Whether you support the man or not, I make very similar content to him, and not only is this just an attack on him, but it is an attack to all people who make similar content to myself and Aaron. If Aaron deserves to be prosecuted for this story, then I do too, and so do hundreds of other journalists who reported on it as well. This is an attack from not only MAGA themselves on freedom of speech. This is an attack from MAGA themselves on freedom of speech, not Trump and not his administration, but the followers of it. The same people who claimed Biden was trying to take away free speech are now trying to do it themselves. The hypocrisy is immeasurable. With that being said, that is all I have to cover today. I hope you all enjoyed today's news recap. Not much else for me to say. I will see you all tomorrow in another episode. Later.